Would you believe that we are back here again? Hello, everyone. I'm Ben, and welcome to another political rant. But today is a little bit more, I'd say, important because of the recent events that have happened in the world. Um, I would first like to mention that the nationwide No Kings protest, of which I was a part of, absolutely smoked Trump's military parade out of the water. It was amazing. Um, the protest for No Kings against Donald Trump had around 5 million people to show up across the world, and Trump had 10,000 people show up for his military parade when he was expecting 200,000 people to show up. Hartford, Connecticut, which was the place I was at, had 10,000 people. Hartford, Connecticut itself beat Donald Trump. I think that just goes to show you how no one gives a fuck about this guy anymore. Or hopefully no one gives a fuck about this guy anymore. I mean, he spent $45 million for our military to go 3 miles an hour down the road. Why? Why did we give a shit about this? I mean, go ahead, celebrate the Army's birthday and everything, but I'm not gonna celebrate your birthday like you're my king. I'm not gonna celebrate you like you're my Führer. Why should I celebrate your birthday at all? I think I don't give a shit about your birthday at all, actually. Um there's only one date I'm waiting for that I'm gonna celebrate. Uh I wrote down a script so I can keep myself on pace and not go off track here. Um I'm here to talk to you about the rampant encroachment into dictatorship that we are in this country. Some people use the phrase that it can't happen here. Well, that phrase is being proved wrong daily. Undocumented immigrants and illegal citizens alike are being snatched up by ICE and other federal agencies with no identification on them, wearing masks and being disappeared uh, with we have redundant lards of protoplasm, such as Stephen Miller calling for the suspension of habeas corpus, or otherwise known as due process. By the way, he was asking his staffers why it's taking so long to deport people, and there's the original claim was they were going to go for um, criminals first. They were going to go for criminals, and then they were going to go for undocumented immigrants, and then they were going to go for what they were calling home brewed criminals, which, if you sneak past the language that they use, just means that they're thinking of taking United States citizens who are criminals and also deporting them to other nations because they want to. Um, and by the way, habeas corpus was given to everyone who is in the United States. Not even if you're an undocumented immigrant or you're a citizen. Everyone in the United States has due process, and that is given to us by the Constitution. And suspending that would be unconstitutional. They hate the Constitution. They hate our government. We have Donald Trump trying to give away Washington, D.C. to a company called Plantier. It's a tech company that's trying to weasel its own way into Washington, D.C. And basically, what Trump wants Palantir to do is to make Gestapo files on every United States taxpayer in the nation. Basically, we're gonna have not only do we have our credit score with Credit Karma, but we're also gonna have a social credit score again. And if you do something that the government doesn't like, you're getting fucking disappeared. Um, and just without that in mind, right? Let me go back to what I just said. Donald Trump wants to give Washington D.C. to a fucking company. He wants to privatize our capital. Am I the only one fucking hearing this? Why aren't we like fucking like going crazy over this? You're trying to privatize the federal government. That's a Call of Duty campaign. That's something that would have Kevin Spacey being portrayed as the main villain again. Like, why are we not like looking at this more heavily? I'm not done yet. Do you remember the presidential debates? I know it seems like 200,000 years ago by now, but that's just our Trump derangement syndrome getting to us. Um, about a billion years ago, during the presidential debates, Trump promised a lot of things. He first of all, he promised a better economy, and he promised no new wars. He promised an end to the nonstop wars in the Middle East, and he also promised to end the Ukrainian war before he got in office. That's how good his deal making is. Well, now that we are months into his presidency, which feels like, I don't know, a fucking decade, I feel like I'm 40 right now. Um, Ukraine and Russia are still fighting. Israel is still genociding the Palestinians. Israel has been bombing Iran now. Iran has been bombing Israel. Pakistan is threatening to nuke Israel if Israel nukes Iran. And now, to top it all off, we have America bombing Iran. I was born too late to fight in a war in the Middle East. I was born too early to fight in the war in the Middle East. I was born just in time to fight in the war in the Middle East. Because what's Trump's solution to the new fight is just to bomb them. Israel has been crying wolf for thousands of times, thousands of times. They've been Iran has been months away from making a nuclear bomb since 2012. And oh, now that it's weeks away, we have to bomb them again, guys. We have to bomb them again. Our own spies 2 days ago told us, our own United States spies told us that Iran has no nuclear weapons at all. There's no reason to go to war. They are not making a nuclear bomb. I didn't know we had George Bush still in charge. I didn't know that they were making weapons of mass destruction that were invisible. I didn't know that existed. That's crazy. Um, and now let's keep going on this. Trump is vowing to bomb them even more if they don't do a ceasefire. Basically, he's threatening a war, of which strategically Pakistan is an Israel. Wow, Pakistan is a ally of Iran. We are a ally to Israel. All right. But also, strategic partners in this mix are Russia and China. They would both back Iran. This would just be a world war. That's what this would be. And meanwhile, during this all, Pakistan is nominating Donald Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize. I don't know about you, but I feel like bombing a country isn't very peaceful. But, he'll keep in great company with the other Nobel Peace Prize nominee, Hitler. I think they would get along just fine. Um, but now that there's a new war on the horizon, I think I should hit some more key points before I stop the video. Trump used our own soldiers to quell protests in LA. And you may say, well, they were destroying property. They were becoming violent. So it doesn't matter. As soon as you start destroying property, you ruin your protest. No, at this point, no. The civil rights protests destroyed property. Pride parades were originally a pride riot, which destroyed property. And slavery's first real fight in America was by John Brown, who was an armed slave rebellion. He grabbed guns from local armories and he killed our own officers. I'm not saying anything. He killed our military, not our officers. Excuse me. But protests historically have been violent to make change. Other than Gandhi, I'll give you that one. Gandhi was nonviolent. But that one was revolutionary because It was like, oh my God, he actually did something and he was nonviolent at the same time. It only took almost killing himself to do something. Which, by the way, is violence towards himself, if you want to put it that way. Change doesn't happen in this world until daily life is disrupted. To make change, you must be heard, and if the only way to speak to billionaires who control this gerontocracy is to burn a car or hit a building, then I guess that's what has to happen. It's not a problem when the Republicans do it, obviously. I mean, hell, they smashed the Capitol and almost caused an insurrection because Daddy Trump didn't immediately get a second term. But God forbid a few protesters burn a car. Let's storm the Capitol. That seems to be okay. Maybe if the Democrats stormed the Capitol, the Republicans would be inclined to support them and actually Donald Trump would pardon them again. That chance. But let's get back on Trump. He wants to run for a third term, which not only sounds like being the leader of the United States until he dies, because he's 79 years old and the oldest president in our history. But again, let's circle back. There's something a little funny. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's called the fucking Constitution of the United States. That's unconstitutional yet again, Donald Trump. He doesn't give a shit. He doesn't give a fuck about the Constitution. He doesn't give a shit about the Declaration of Independence. It doesn't even matter if he has it fucking hanging on his wall. I bet you he hasn't even read that shit. Um, if you remember about, I think it's like a month or two ago, he was asked by a reporter what he thought the Declaration of Independence meant to him. And he said it was a declaration of love and peace. And I call a big fat bullshit on that. The paper is a giant middle finger to Great Britain at the time. It was a message of spite and hatred and anger to a boiling point where we were lethal and ready to kill for our freedom. That's what it is. It's a mighty symbol saying that the people will fight the most powerful military in the world at the time just to have freedom. And we did it and we won. So, remember that the American spirit is to stand up for what is right and for the people, not for a corporation or a king or a president. And not only to stand up, but to fight for the right. Fight for freedom and for liberty and fight for independence from tyrants and kings and dictators and fascists. And we shall never sit idly by while our liberties are stripped from us. Remember that. And I'll leave you with a quote from the Declaration of Independence, something that Trump has never read. And the quote is that whenever a form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute a new government. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.